Every time I speak in a French conference, so I'm not French, I'm in the process to be French, they always tell me to use this joke, where is Brian? So where is Brian today? Do we have a Brian, by the way? No. All right. How many developers we have? Oh, the majority. So non-developers, they don't exist in this room. Too bad. How many of you use Docker? I assume the majority. How many of you use ArgoCD? Or at least know it? Okay, minimal. How many of you use Kubernetes? Okay, the numbers are varying. I'm not going to repeat the same question for all these tools. So as you can see, this list of technologies keeps getting larger and larger. Ecosystem of companies getting more complex, super difficult to understand, chaotic, especially when it comes to newcomers. On the other hand, this is not only impacting the ecosystem of the companies, it's also overwhelming for developers, time-consuming to let them know and understand any technologies they want to use to build their service, to deploy it, to test it. And especially when it comes to the set of services or tools, technology used by Team A, they are different from the other tools used by Team B. So now the question is, how really can we get rid of this burden that software engineers, they need to learn about all those technologies? This is slowing down our development cycle, adding extra effort in our developers. So hi everyone. My name is Maha. I am an engineering manager at Elastic. I'm leading the release engineering team at Elastic. We are providing guidance, tools, frameworks to the other product teams at Elastic, helping them to release and produce their releasable artifacts. I also have a PhD in optimizing performance of multi-tier distributed systems deployed in a private cloud. And today, I'm gonna talk to you about developer portal. How can we increase the productivity of our developers? How can we make them self-service, self-sufficient, and independent? First, let's try to answer the first question. Is what is a developer portal? Sometimes we refer to it IDP, internal developer portal. Why is that? Because the goal is to be used internally inside our organization. So the idea of a developer portal is to build a layer on top of all existing technologies, API, workflows, a company has in a place to help developers to access those technologies and services and use them whenever they want, and completely have fully managing the life cycles of those technologies when they want to use them. Today, any developer needs, in order to build a service or an application, needs to know and to use some CI/CD pipelines, using some CI/CD tools. They need to also run their application in a container to be able to run it anywhere. They would like also to provision some Kubernetes cluster, let's say, to be able to scale their application and roll out some updates. And they might use other technologies existing in the place, okay? And so this list might go and get larger. They would like sometimes to add monitoring tools on top of their applications. So the developer here needs to know a lot of things, a lot of tools, a lot of technologies, a lot of workflow. So he's really getting overwhelmed. Now you tell me DevOps actually came, and following the DevOps practices helps to add some automation to this process and make it easier, make the life of developers much simpler. Well, yes, but then the question, is that enough? Can we do better? The answer is yes. How can we do that? Well, we can do that by making all those tools, workflows, APIs, technologies, documentation, maintained and managed by the operation team. So this ops team, they will take care of all those technologies, tools we have in place. Not only maintaining, well, their job also to expose all those technologies through a portal, make them accessible by the developer across the organization. So the idea is to use all the technologies, workflows, API, documentation. I keep repeating that it's not only about technologies, also APIs, workflow, documentation. You're gonna see that later while I'm talking about that, and expose that to our customers where they can use it and benefit from it while they are building their services. That's great. Why we need to do that? Well, as I mentioned, it's the idea to make our developers self-service, independent, and self-sufficient. That will help them to be more productive, because me, I am a developer. If I want to build a service, I don't need to wait on the CI team to build some pipeline for me and then waiting for another team to provision the infrastructure in the cloud. And good luck with that. So you will create all the Jira tickets and you will be blocked in the platform engineering backlog. So this is the idea, is to increase the productivity. When a developer has the ability to fully manage their services, they will really decrease the mean time of preparation, of repairing their failing systems or failing services. Also, they will increase the frequency of their development, as I am able to access and deploy my service whenever I want and at any time I want. Now the question, how can I build a developer portal? Well, I'm going to explain that from two perspectives. The first one as a developer, and the second one as an operation. So let's start, I am a developer. So I am a developer, how the IDP looks like. So I am a developer in my web browser. I can see UI, where there are different plugins or templates where I can click, install this plugin, or create, like for example, Node.js project out of this template. Of course, behind the scene, there are the backend development. Those, they can be implemented either by the company itself or by third-party components. So for example, I have a plugin for Buildkite. Buildkite is equivalent to Jenkins, okay, or Jira. So I can use it, and there are plenty of plugins that already exist, and the companies, they already provide them, and you can plug them directly to the IDP. So all of it together, this is the IDP. It looks like from the developer perspective. The second view, it's from operational perspective. So as an operation team, I would like to maintain some cloud infrastructure where developers, they can deploy their applications. So cloud providers like AWS, GCP, etc. We would like to also adopt some CI/CD pipelines to be able and allow the developers to build, test, and deploy their application automatically. We would like also to have database to store the application configuration, the deployment configuration, which is represented in the manifest file or YAML file. On top of all this combination of those components, we need an orchestrator. Why is that? Well, the orchestrator will help us to take a desired state, which is represented in a manifest file or YAML file, and that's given by the developers, and to map it to our infrastructure and make it the actual state. So that's exactly what we want to do. And all of these components, the combination, it represents the IDP from operational point of view. Now you might tell me, okay, we've been building a lot of tools around automation and following the DevOps best practices, and in our company we have hundreds of tools and technology, and now I'm telling you this is not enough, and what you need to do is build another layer on top of all those existing workflow. So I'm going to tell you, don't panic. Why is that? Because there are plenty of open source tools to help you to build an IDP. One of these tools I'm going to talk about today, it's Backstage. And if you heard of it? Yeah. Oh, few, but that's cool. So Backstage is an open platform. It allows companies to build an IDB on top of all their existing technologies, workflows, documentations. And the idea is to make all those technologies, workflows, documentation, APIs accessible by the developer across the organization without them needing to know how or waiting on other teams to provision for them or fix some failing pipeline and so on. It has been developed at Spotify and donated to the Cloud Native Computing Foundation, CNCF, in 2020. And their main idea is really to improve the developers' experience and make them more productive. Any developer doesn't need to be expert in all existing infrastructure provisioning tasks. They need to focus on their implementation without being bothered with the extra things to do. Those they should be provided to them by default. One of the use case from reality, it was Lunar who adopted Backstage along with other tools. They faced a problem where they lost their logs and they were not accessible at all. And then it's a bank, a Scandinavian bank, and this is very sensitive data that they lost. So they adopt Backstage and they showed that using this solution, they were able to do 40 production release per day. They were able to do 250 microservices running across different Kubernetes cluster and so on. So this is the way they measure their success. Today, Backstage is used by more than 100 companies over the world, like Netflix, HP, American Airlines. At Elastic, we start using it since the beginning of the year, and we are getting really very positive feedback around it. So we plugged all our infrastructure there and tools. So I think now it's the time for demo, and I think everybody's waiting for that. So what you need to do, you can deploy it in the cloud directly, or you can deploy it standalone. So me, I did that on my computer. So there is the documentation when I listed here. The URL is very well documented. What you need to have on your computer, curl or wget, you need to have Node.js, you need to have a package manager, Yarn, and you need to have Docker and Git. And I'm sure 100% all of you have all those. Yes. And what you need to do, you need to create your application using the npx command, and then the process to start the Backstage is the yarn dev, where it will start two processes, the backend one and the front-end one. And you will open it in the local host port 3000. So what I would say, let's go to the demo time. I already created my application. It takes around 5 minutes to 10 minutes max. And what I need to do is yarn dev. So now it will start two processes, as I said, the backend one and the front end one. And as you can see here, the home page of the Backstage. So you will see the APIs. You will see some documentation still now we don't have. And what I want to show you is first, if I want to add some plugins. So I'm gonna go to the Backstage website. There are some examples there. Everything in Backstage is based on YAML file. It's very easy to understand and to plug. So here there is an example for an API component. In the specification, it's a service, experimental, owned by Team C, and provides three APIs. So I'm gonna take the URL. I go here. I just paste it. Then import, and the component has been added. So as we can see, this is a Bitstore API example owned by Team C. Here's the life cycle. You can see it's not plugged to any CI/CD. It provides three services. It's nice if I go to the APIs, I will see all those APIs. For example, let's take one of them, Spotify API. You can go to the definition. What I like here, even you can actually play with all the requests, get request, delete, and so on. I'm interested in another example, which is still I am, operational. Adding docs. I insist on this because you join a company, you ask, where is this service, where is this documentation, who owns that? And they tell you, this is in Confluence, this is in Google Drive, this is in Google. So it's spreaded, and good luck with that. So here the idea is really to put them in central place. So for a doc, I created an example. It's very simple one. So basically, this is the YAML file, as I said. It's owned by me, and what I name it welcome. It's Hello World doc, and it's welcome to BDX.io. It's experimental and owned by me. Okay, I take that URL, and I go here to create. I do import, and tell him, okay, get it. He will import it, and if we go here, we will find it. So we can see the source code. We see the owner, it's me, experimental, and we can go to the doc and we will see it's exactly what I explained. So what I want to tell you in my repositories, it's basically there is the YAML file and there is the doc where it's this, what has been uploaded, the markdown file. The very important point here is the annotation. The annotation to tell him from where he should upload that file. This is very, very important information. So now we saw doc, we saw a plugin as from operational perspective. Let's see, I am a developer and I want to use existing plugin. So I'm gonna use one already exists, which is Node.js. So first, let me show you my repository. So there is nothing about Node.js, okay? Now let's try to use this plugin. There is a template about Node.js, and I would like to use it. I'm a developer, okay? So I will call it Node.js app. It's in GitHub. The owner is me. The repository is Node.js app, and next, and create. What will happen here, actually, he is done, okay? Let's refresh here. He has access to my repository because I give him the access token, so it's not magic. So if you don't give him in the configuration file in Backstage, you should give him the access, otherwise he will not able. So he created actually Node.js project from that template. Can you imagine this for anything if you create template for different things, for building CI pipeline, for creating Jira ticket or something, automate those things in the template. So it will be created here, and as I said, based on the template, he created those files. All right. Last thing, so here we saw it from developer perspective and operation perspective. There are many plugins that exist actually, and you can really directly, there are really third-party companies, they are very interested and they are creating their plugins and to be able to inject it directly to your Backstage. One of these plugin is TechRadar. So what this plugin does, it's free. What it does, actually, it does some analysis on all the technologies the company has, and they plug to the Backstage, and they show some statistics. Those statistics, it's about the rating of those technologies or APIs or documentation or practices. So they range them between adopt to hold. Adopt means that this technology or this practice has been adopted by the company, by different teams, and they have positive feedback. So for example, if we look at this, code review is something good and the company should use based on their analysis. But hold, for example, force push to master. So this is you should not do at all. And there are things that like this is still experimental and trial, and this is we are still assessing that. So the idea from this plugin is really to evaluate and build some statistic based on what we have. And I think that's all for the demo. Here, you know, I took some screenshot in case I got this the demo curse thing and the demo doesn't work. So just to prove, we can skip those. And as takeaway, I want you to remember is the idea behind IDP is really to improve our developer experience by increasing their productivity, make them self-service, self-sufficient, being able to fully manage their services and run whenever they want at any time. And all that will help us to increase the productivity, not only for our developers, but also the productivity of our organization. Here is a list of references I have used for this talk, and I really enjoyed giving this talk. I appreciate your time and being here. Don't hesitate to scan to give me some feedback on it. Don't hesitate also to stop by the booth. Elastic has a booth and all sponsor space. I will be there if you have some question. I want to share feedback. Thank you so much for your attention. I know that you are all hungry. So thank you so much and enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.
On a peut-être un petit peu de temps d'une petite question si vous n'avez pas encore trop faim. Oui.
Hey, thanks for the presentation and the demo. So you said you set up that in Elastic beginning of the year. I was wondering how you did, because for that to work you have to have all the documentation in Backstage. But how did you evangelize or make it so that everyone put its API documentation, because I imagine it was somewhere else before, and the service documentation? Did you evangelize it? Did you just create Jira tickets in all teams, or how did you manage that?
Yeah. So the question is how we really convince the other teams to be on board in using Backstage, right? Isn't that more or less? Yeah. So, well, at the beginning, I should admit, was a bit difficult to convince team, especially, I think as human beings, we resisted change, right? And so at the beginning, we start actually by providing well-written documentation about Backstage, the benefit. We run a different presentation across the organization to show them a demo and how to use it. Then teams start onboarding. So basically, yes, we created some Jira ticket. We provide them with a lot of documentation. And when one team succeed in using it and they see the advantages, they will tell the others, and it will just progressively. Yeah, so that's what happens, progressively, not from the first shot. No. We have a question here.
Thank you. From the ops team's perspective, who manages Backstage, and how do you integrate each platform you already have into Backstage? Is there a centralized team that manage Backstage, or is everybody plugging themselves to?
So the owner, we started by our CI team. Actually, they are the actual owner. So I'm working in the department, the platform department, meaning this platform department is really providing tools, infrastructure, guidance to the other teams at Elastic. Meaning we develop tools and we give it to them, but we want them to be self-service and self-independent. So that's what we did. So the ownership of Backstage and maintaining it, it's in one team, but then there are other teams that are able and capable to plug their plugins independently. Yes, that's the idea. If we want every time to plug it for them, this is not. It contracts the main concept of it. Yes.
Eh bien, merci à tous et merci à Maha.
Thank you so much. I hope you will use it and you tell me. Thank you.